Currently 2:15 p.m. You're looking at the fake sun that's directly over the top of my head, in the same position that it was when LAPD just flew over my office less than 20 minutes ago. The entity is engaged in 24-hour surveillance, so I capture videos of the instances where the entity is terrorizing me in a helicopter, doing so in a manner that is perceptible, which is an ongoing threat to my life while they're maintaining 24-hour surveillance, and doing so in the unheard of and highly psychotic method of using helicopters in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct by who are also notably demon possessed. And that demon possession is also demonstrated through the demonic environment, which I continue to show the evidence of, speaking to what's a scientific impossibility, and all of the demonic behaviors of those stalking in helicopters, which is shared by those who are in that environment. And at Alvarado Gardens, this makes up the people of the state who are of that same condition, who are group stalking with that government, who maintain heavy presence in helicopter at this apartment complex, which is directly incriminating everybody that lives here and is going to federal prison. Right now, the entity is group stalking with a minor child in the laundry room. That's called criminal presence. And while you're looking at the fake sun that's over the top of my head, well, that's my leasing office, okay, where Smart Janitorial was group stalking this morning, and LAPD stalking in helicopter, and the fake sun is over my apartment. This is my apartment building, building 1806. This is the same presence of the light source when you're looking at it over this apartment building, and I'm looking through the window of a vehicle in the parking lot. This is the same property where you were looking at. That was at the 10 o'clock hour. This is the demon that comes onto the path. This is what the demons always do when I'm exposing them. That's amplification, and this is a demon hurrying up to the scene. Center for Better Life is an exposed terrorist. Don't be distracted. Everybody's going to federal prison here, and their system is it's tired, okay? So I'm just breaking it down for you. So the entity is engaged in what is keeping a fake sun over me, and look at what Smart Janitorial was doing this morning under the fake sun. That's in the same position that it was in this morning, stalking me in a helicopter. All right, doing so, flying around the property, crossing paths just like they were, flying directly over my office. This is terrorism. This is at 11:59 in the afternoon, 11:59 in the morning, 12 p.m. All right, and a demon is arriving. That's Center for Better Life, heavily documented group stalking under the fake sun. That's present at 8 o'clock in the morning when they're driving by and engineer lights across the apartment building. That terrorist comes to engage in nothing other than criminal conduct. Okay, and you're looking at the fake sun that's over me at the same exact location. I'm at the property. This is the fake sun that's over my head. That's not the natural environment. That's the light source. Okay, and this is at 12:01 in the afternoon. I'm standing at this same exact location right here when you're looking at the fake sun. And demons are closing car doors, which is audible activity, pacing around a vehicle just like he's doing under the fake sun that's at the same location at 8 o'clock in the morning. Sunlight will never ricochet off of your vehicle while you're driving on and off of property. This is openly engaging in terrorism with the government, and he's going to federal prison. He also likes to arrive on the scene as I engage in very damning evidence and video, and because he's so openly engaging in that terrorism and exhibiting demon possession, he's going to federal prison for a very long time, years, okay? And I also want to be clear, that impunity that Center for Better Life represents, that's on everybody's account. Everybody here is going to federal prison. This is a statewide system. It's a community crime. And the fake sun that's over my head here is the same light source that was over my head as he was group stalking at 8 o'clock with Carla Lopez. This is the same exact location. And he drove by incriminating everybody, being a demon, and engineer light moves across the apartment building. Those are demons stalking in helicopters. Those are demons that call themselves speaker companies. Those are demons acting with minor children who are maintaining presence. All they have to do is move around and slam machines while I'm inside of my office, and they're group stalking in a laundry room under a light source that's not even the sun, and it's certainly not over the Ovid Family Community Library, while you can see through the windshield of a third-party group stalker that's living at a crime scene. Okay, this is what the entity is doing. I just want to be clear, even earlier than 11:59, where Smart Janitorial is indeed engaged in group stalking. LAPD is flying over my apartment as I'm documenting these third parties pacing around in a parking lot in engineered light, not sunlight, under a light source, not the sun, and doing so while the fake sun is over this apartment building. This is at 10:37 in the morning. Okay, you can see the light source. It's right over my head, and you can see it through the windshield of a vehicle in this parking lot right here to the side of me. And this is the video where I'm showing you that light source, and I'm standing at the same property right now. This is at 10:36 in the morning. You can see through the windshield. This is what I capture. I want to be clear, at 7 in the morning when I'm in my apartment, you can see the fake sun through the windshield of these vehicles parked in the same parking lot when I'm in my apartment. This is evidence of non-movement of a light source as opposed to the sun that's also nowhere near Ontario, California. This is a third-party group stalker. So what I want you to see is the light source that you can see through the windshield of a vehicle, which is nothing other than, for purposes of very highly vivid illustration of what is stationary movement. That parking lot is the same parking lot over here, and the fake sun is over. You can see the tree. It's over this apartment building. And then I go inside of my apartment, and you're looking at engineered light on my living room floor. and under what's supposed to be the guise of sunlight, and you're looking at the same maintenance of a light source. It's not in Ontario, it's right here over me at Alvarado Gardens, where demons are in commercial vehicles coming on and crossing path on behalf of a corrupt law enforcement agency, the state, that engages in surveillance using helicopters, and that's why many of them are going to federal prison. I'm talking about the LAPD. Dominic Choi is going to be prosecuted for being a leader of a terrorist organization, as opposed to wanting the public to think and treat him as though, while public corruption is underway, he's a chief of police of a law enforcement agency. Could not be farther from the truth. It is also in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct in the state of California. The sun is never going to stay at the same property, which is what seeing it through the windshield and seeing it directly over my head when I'm at 10 o'clock in the morning, literally on the same sidewalk, and the fake sun is over my apartment building. But you also know that because I'm capturing the fake sun over my apartment building, literally over the top of my head for the duration of the day. And the entity is maintaining what is the elements of monitoring while stalking in helicopters, which is exactly what I continue to capture. Over my office, trying to flee the scene, flying directly over and capturing it on camera. This is called relevant positioning. Same stalking in helicopters. And this is what they're doing day and night. So don't forget what the entity is doing at 11 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, when I go to the bank, when I go to the grocery store, when I'm in my apartment, and the entity is flying in red, while that's the fake sun through my blinds at 7 in the evening. But nonetheless, this is where the entity is stalking in helicopters, and that's why I'm capturing what is that pattern of conduct as I'm showing. Sorry. What is this P.O.C. Let me remind you about what the entity was doing at 11 o'clock last night, interfering with quiet enjoyment, and it is the basis for prosecution of the whole community, not just LAPD. Okay, and remember, LAPD, with regard to prosecuting a government, the state, LAPD just represents the state. It's the state's criminal activity. It's state action, where the entire entity, the government, is keeping you under surveillance, and it's a criminal act. There's no constitutional basis for it, and it's terrorism on its face. It's also terrorism in substance. The entity is engaging in what is maintained this light source. So let me just show you. Well, this is the fake sun that's at the same property. So this is heavily documented conduct, and at 5:08 p.m., another image for you to see. This is the same parking lot, and the fake sun can be seen through windshields of the vehicles parked at the same parking lot. So that's non-movement of a fake sun, where stalking in helicopters is underway. So instead of going through those, let me just show you the video, because I want you to remember what LAPD is doing on an ongoing basis. And while they continue to provide me a wealth of evidence speaking to stalking in helicopters, the people of the state are going to federal prison for it. So the entity, is maintaining what is a specific environment. You know what? The light source, let me see if I have it on here in the drive. This is the light source where it's at on this day in 2022. The entity is keeping a fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. And that's the body of evidence that the entity is also faced up against. That not only is this not the sun clearly on its face, that's at one address, which is why you document. It's also not the sun while it is remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library. So there is that. And the entity continues to stalk to the entity's own demise on camera with knowledge, because they're engaged in federal stalking as well. But the entity is engaging in what is egregious criminal conduct, speaking to and exposing the highest levels of hypocrisy by those that are in positions of government, leadership positions. I'm looking for the video where I captured last night. Okay, good. It is on here. Group stalking in helicopter at 11 o'clock at night. You're looking at what's an ongoing, ceaseless engagement in group stalking. And that's the only reason why I'm going over what is already on the record, because what the entity is doing in the workplace is what the entity is doing while I'm in my apartment. LAPD does not cease to engage in stalking in helicopters. And it's the pattern of conduct shared by the state, 7 other law enforcement agencies, more than 7.
This is what LAPD is repeatedly doing. This is called amplification. This is demonic, crossing a path, and ongoing obsessive stalking by a police department that's engaged in surveillance and federal stalking.
And I want you to pay attention to what the people of the state do. Those that are living at this property, keeping me under surveillance while the entity is flying. That's my apartment window, and I'm looking outside with the camera, capturing group stalking, and all the demons in the helicopter did that know my every move and that are engaged in Title 18 criminal conduct. They intend to fly over my apartment, and in the video, you'll see them continue to fly in this direction. All they did was change the direction of their flight. They are repeatedly flying over my apartment, flying around my apartment, which I capture heavily. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing when they know that they're being caught on camera. And let me be clear, it's equally stalking conduct, it's equally terrorizing, it's equally demonic crossing path.
I'm going to the internet, and they're group stalking with the people of the state who are driving and engineering.
And the people of the state that live at this property, These demons are the ones that are right in step with the demons in the helicopter. Driving into the parking lot at nightfall with the vehicle is a method of light activity. Remember, at night there's multiple shadows. It's not even a natural environment, in the same way that this isn't a natural environment where a fake sun is still at the same property, the same address, non-movement. That's not the sun. Okay, the entity is engaging what is 24-hour surveillance, and the fact that they're doing it in the workplace, that is the direct prosecution of a federal nature of speaker companies. Every employee maliciously engaging in terrorism, which is the pattern of conduct by the people of the state. And to date, because I am still subject to it in 2024, on July 12, 2024, you're talking about what is relevant to your enhancement to charges and punishment. You will be going to federal prison, and not just for 3 days. It's not just going to be a weekend. You're going for a prolonged period based on the long-term suffering of the targeted individual. Remember, this is a criminal act committed by a state, a population. This is the significance of following with the fake sun. When I go to the DMV, where's the fake sun at? It's right over my head at that DMV, and that's a scientific impossibility. Where's the fake sun when I go to the Social Security office? It's right over that Social Security office, and that's a scientific impossibility. It's also a scientific impossibility that sunlight ricochets off your car and somehow touches all over my person when you're just driving by, which is how you know that it's an act also by an entire population, a pattern of conduct that is impossible to occur even one time, and you have what are thousands of people mirroring that, while the entity engages in the act of stalking me in helicopters, now in a workplace. Not the first time. Countrywide apartments in Harupa Valley, keeping a fake sun stalking in helicopter while I'm on the job. They're going to federal prison. Okay, it's already on the record. So the entity is engaging what is a documented pattern in the workplace, and this is speaking to a grounds of recovery where the government's engaging in surveillance, engaging in terrorism, doing it in a specific environment, which is an unfathomable level of infliction of harm, tangible and intangible. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm mindful of mentioning that, because this is what the entity is doing at
Right, they're acting in sync. I want you to pay attention to this crossing of path conduct by the people that stayed in the parking lot and the state that is stalking in a helicopter. They're engaged in surveillance inside of a private space as well.
And that's called the sex offense while I'm in the private space in my apartment where helicopter activity continues. And remember, it's specific and it's targeted because the entity keeps engineered light inside of my apartment. None of these street lamps will create your shadow above your head in your apartment. None of these street lamps will create the pattern of the blinds adjacent to the window. All right, that's impossible light activity where demons are still stalking me in helicopters, where they know exactly where I live and exactly what I'm doing. They like to do it in the workplace, and that's to the detriment of speaker companies and the people of the state and everybody that lives here. And this is how you're going to prosecute what is an egregious crime that the state sought to engage in. So now the state's going to suffer the consequences for it. And they are still to date engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's how persistent that they are. That's how intense that federal prosecution must be. It is currently 2:27 p.m. This is P.O.C.